morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday morning show. Good morning, Leicester.
Good morning, Dan.
How are you? I've literally not spoken to you at all this week, which is rare for us not to chat on the phone.
It is, yeah.
I've been busy, and what have you been doing?
I've just been doing a little bit of a few online sales in the shop.
Yeah.
Getting rid of some Sunday show merch.
Right.
So
Okay.
doing that, really. That's
There's
been quite
lots of
busy.
people have got their Sunday morning merch now.
They have, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, I've just been really busy doing that.
And I've seen that you've been out running.
I have, yeah. So I did a little bit of running towards the end of the last lockdown.
Yeah.
This lockdown I thought I'd record it a little bit more, so I've downloaded Strava. Been setting myself some targets, but I've been doing sort of 6 mile, 5 mile, 4 mile runs.
Very good, well done.
So yeah, 3 or 4 times a week.
You take it easy, as you are now in your 40s. You've got to take it easy on those knees, all right? And what about Dustin Johnson winning the Masters?
Yeah, I mean he sort of he played some great golf, didn't he? What I like the most about it is he kept the same. He's a quick player generally, and he just carried on. A couple of times the cameras actually sort of almost missed his shot because he was literally over the board.
The one
hit
up
it.
18, certainly the one up 18. I noticed they almost the sky. They nearly missed his shot. Yeah,
he played some phenomenal golf. Yeah, he dominated really, didn't he? It was good to see, and I think there's not many times the world #1 wins majors.
It's obviously one that he's really wanted to win.
Yeah. And they say faders can't win the Masters.
Well, he
there
got
you
that,
go.
didn't he?
Yeah,
absolutely did.
Yeah.
Well, last week's show I think was pretty much a success. I don't know about you, but I certainly, from the views and more so the comments from everybody watching about us just venturing off on a random exploration around our hometown.
It was quite random, and it was like we always said, we're throwing ideas at YouTube at different shows, at different things we're doing, and people like it, we'll continue to do it. But to be honest, I know it took us all day doing it, but I enjoyed doing it. It was good to go and see some of the sites and learn a little bit myself about where I live.
Absolutely, and what I think we can take from that is, because obviously there's a lot of people that enjoy seeing the sites around our area, but when we go away to these golf courses, when everything calms down a bit and we're able to travel a little bit, maybe there's an opportunity for us to create something similar to that, to the venues that we go when we travel to maybe France, or because we did do a roundup video in France, but maybe there's more that we could create from a Sunday show point of view, where people might actually get a bit more of enjoyment out of us venturing around some of the places that we've, and they are beautiful places.
Totally agree. I know golf, when you go on a golf holiday, golf is obviously the main point, but I've been on a couple of golf holidays where we've gone sort of just out of season, and the actual town, there's been nothing to do, so it's literally been golf, and then that's it.
But if we went out and found it, then they might enjoy it themselves.
Then they might see which bits you can do and where you can go. So and also if you're trying to sell it to the family, and you've got family members who don't play golf on a golf holiday, there might be other things like that they can go and do whilst a couple of you play golf.
Yeah, I agree.
So what have you been doing this week then?
Well, I have had a busy week. I've never slept so well as I have this week.
You're looking tired.
I'm feeling tired. So this week I've created a little film for us.
Right.
And I've just taken us off piste a little bit again, but I've created this little film because I've been out on the golf course with the green staff, and it's something that I've always enjoyed doing. Yeah, so I thought I would produce this little film as to what I've been up to out on the golf course this week. So ever since wanting to get into the golf industry, one of the areas that's always really fascinated me is the greenkeeping side of it. And so much so that I actually got a job doing some green staff work when I was just turning pro and was struggling to get some golf lessons, so I needed to earn a little bit of extra money. Not knowing it kind of at the time, but actually I was learning an awful lot about what goes on behind the scenes in the golf industry. So kind of from then on, I've always tried to give a helping hand when I can with the green staff. We're out here today, and Jason and his team are looking to drain out the 6th green. It's a green that's really struggled over the years because it was an old style green. I'll let Jason explain a little bit more about it, but we're going to go and do some work with him, and I thought I'd bring you with me to share with you some of the experiences that happens behind the scenes in the golf industry. Let's go meet up with the boys. Right, Jace, what are we doing out on the golf course today?
Well, we're making a mess, really, in all essence. But we've
had a plan.
So we've had a problem green, which is our 6th green, for a number of years. It was built very cheaply back in the early 90s by some enthusiastic board members. for £3,000. It's given us problems ever since, really. It's built with very poor material, a lot of clay, so essentially we're draining it. So we've first thing was to sort of work out the plan of drainage, how we're going to move it from the green off to the side. So we've done that, and then we've removed all the turf off the trench lines, trenched it down to about 20 inches to allow for pipe stone and the root zone to go back in.
Yeah.
The root zone is basically a 70-30 mix of soil and sand, which will help move the water through quicker. And then, for example, last winter when it was very wet, we didn't play this green for 5 weeks. It was that
long, was it?
It was that soft that it was just unusable. So
yeah, so you've got to really, because at the end of the day, golf has become 365 days of the year game, isn't it? Whereas
yeah,
probably back in the day when this was built, it was more of a summer game.
Well, absolutely. Even as recently as the 90s, probably was more of a summer game.
Yeah.
Gore-Tex became on the market, lightweight waterproofs, better equipment, made it a bit more tolerable in the winter time. You know, in the sort of early days before automatic irrigation systems were built, they designed greens to retain water because it wasn't a winter sport. They needed moisture in the summer to keep the greens alive. So it was completely opposite to what we do nowadays. Nowadays we're trying to design greens to drain away water so we can play on it all year round, really.
So this is the line that we've now finally dug out, which took a bit of time, didn't it?
Yeah, you know, we had a trench unfortunately on the back of a tractor, but it still took the best part of 3/4 of a day, 4 people to, you know, get this stuff away. So we've gone down about 20 inches, which will allow for a 4-inch pipe to sit at the bottom, covered with a couple inches of gravel, and then, you know, 12 inches of root zone is the ideal number we're looking for, really.
Yeah.
You're trying to get, I was saying earlier, you're trying to get this bridging effect. So if you have too much sand, the bridging effect is way down in the profile.
Yeah.
If you get it too shallow, it bridges too high, and you end up with, you still don't have a free draining green.
But in there, when we were digging out, there was some old pipe, wasn't there? So
yeah.
There's obviously been pipe work that's gone in over the years, but you were struggling to get down to it. Is that what this is all about?
The old secretary who was party to the build of this, you know, he maintained that there was plenty of drains within the green. We did find them, but they were nearly 2 foot deep and buried under a big layer of clay. So there was no chance water was getting to that very easily. So, you know, it's all very well putting drains in it, but you need to allow the water to get to them. So whilst the guys are down there trenching out the green, I've been coming up here to another part of the golf course where I've been dumping all this material that's been coming out of that green. And you can start to see some of the things that we're kind of coming across. Now, this would be the old pipe that Jason's been talking about previously. Jason has been struggling to get down deep enough with his kind of verti-draining and things like that over time to dig into that pipe. And what's happened is this clay soil that's been sat between the sort of top level of the green and this pipe has been basically acting like a sponge. So all that water is just being held up in that green, which is why he's struggling to get any sort of moisture to go through and into these old pipe systems, which is why we're putting in this new pipe. Now, I found here as well a bit of the actual green surface, and you can see over time the layers of different materials that have been used to try and help get that water to sort of seep through and get into that pipe that we talked about. Now, smelling this material here now, you can smell that it's kind of like a damp smell. It's a bit, almost like a bit mouldy as such, and that's where the water has sat on top of that clay line, and this has basically just been sat in water for such a long time, built up a lot of black kind of looking material in there, which ultimately is the material just decomposing down. But it's just, yeah, this is where Jason is now trying to get down to a new layer of drainage where he can then get that water away from that green. Some pipe right down there. So the pipe work that we've just been laying in and joining together, tell me a little bit about what's happening with that. Yep, so there's a 4-inch perforated drain pipe in there now.
Yep.
It's perforated for reasons that will let water in.
Yeah, okay.
It's also perforated the whole way through, but once the water starts moving, if you've got a nice fall on the lie of the land as such to move the water.
We've naturally got that on this green, haven't we?
Yeah, and we've also got it, you know, we made sure that we're moving it which way we want it to go.
Yeah.
The water will travel within the pipe and not escape. So we've got you know, maybe a bit overkill. We don't have to go 4 inches. We could have gone slightly smaller pipe, but you know, it just helps move water quicker the bigger the pipe.
So what's going on there then, Steve? What are you doing?
Just put some typer on the ends of the pipe, so when we put the stone in, it doesn't actually go into the...
So it's a protection for when you gravel over the top of the pipe?
Gravel over the top, it doesn't actually go into the pipe itself.
Okay, so stopping blockages.
Yeah, that's right.
So what the boys are doing now behind me is just putting all the pipe work in and around the green, and then they cut it, and then they kind of get all these joins that join it all up, and then what Jason's trying to find is the outlet. So he's found the pipe that sort of runs off the back of the green all downhill into the bushes, but we've now got to see if that outlet is still working. So he's just popping a hose pipe down there to have a little look and make sure that pipe is still sending that water away. So this is the old pipe, and you see where they've sort of tread through, they've gone through the pipe, which is okay because they're looking to tap into this pipe with all the new piping that they're putting in and around the green, as you can see there. And this tap here now, or this hose pipe, has been running now for what, probably about 15 to 20 minutes. And what you should start to see is that it should start to rise up if it was blocked, but you can see that it stayed pretty consistent for the last sort of 10 minutes or so, which means that this pipe should be working quite nicely and be sending the water away, which means for Jason it's less of a headache because he can now just run all the pipe work in and down into this washaway to send it out towards the sea. Just so, I mean, and I'm really interested to know about this, but obviously you've made obviously the holes in the ground that there's probably 3 paces between, or a good 2.5 meters between one trench line and the next trench line.
Yeah.
What, like, is it not a concern that there's going to be, the water's going to build up in that area between the trenches, or what? How does that work?
So generally, the flatter the green, the closer the spacing you need to go with. So this green, not sure if it's evident on the camera, but it is a very severe fall from back to front. Yeah. So 3 meter spacings, that will be okay. The water, it's kind of like it pulls the water towards it. It's not just straight down, it pulls it in from the sides as well, so it's got a chance to pull it from within the spaces in between, and also any subsequent aeration and sort of decompaction will help move water through the profile also, and it will find its way to the pipe.
So you said earlier that this is possibly the most satisfying part of the job. Yeah, getting this part done.
You're feeling that you're getting somewhere now. You're actually starting to put it back together again.
Yeah.
So this stuff is a sort of 2 to 6 mil grit.
Right. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. I honestly thought, I was talking to Steve as we were bringing it up, but I thought it was going to be a lot bigger to make it allow the sort of the water to sort of flow through it.
There's various different methods you could incorporate. So you'd have, we're doing like a 2-stage drainage. So you have the grit followed by the root zone on top. Yeah. And in order for that to work, you can't have too big a disparity between the 2 mediums. So what I mean by that is, if it's too coarse a stone and the sand's on top, the sand will fall through the stone. Yeah. And also you won't achieve the bridging effect which you need to retain some moisture, so it will in effect drain too quickly. Okay, yeah. So you have like these real evident dry lines across your green. So what you're trying to do is, the water will back up to a point, but when it reaches like kind of fill capacity, the gravity will take over and it will shift. Okay. So if you had bigger stone, you'd have to find like an interface in between that and the root zone just to kind of create that bridging effect. Yeah. So it's a sort of there's a lot of physics involved really, which it's beyond me, but we know it works. So this is why we sort of stick to that method. But there are lots of when you order the stuff, your reps would generally tell you and give you advice on what you're buying. Make sure it does what you want it to do. Gravel has now gone in. We just roughly started putting it in. We need to check the level of that to allow us the right consistent depth of what's going on top of that, which is namely the root zone. So it's in at the moment. We'll have to do a bit of fiddling around with it just to make sure we've got the right levels on that. But yeah, it's just kind of a satisfying part now. You feel like you've finished destroying the green. Now we're starting to put it back together again, and we're getting closer to the end. On that, and that's this talking about the end result of this. Obviously, with these tracks that have gone in across the green, how does it handle it over the next
couple of years, let's say, do we come back and we see like dips in the green, or do we see in dry times, do we see sort of noticeable drain marks in the green? Is it something that just takes a bit of time to bed in? And
it does take a while to bed in, and it won't be an efficient green drainage system straight away. It will take, you know, maybe a year or so for it to kind of find its feet. But
so members coming back in off lockdown and seeing the work that's been going on, they're expecting this green to be bang on, right, off we go.
Yeah.
That's not likely to happen.
No, temper those expectations somewhat.
Yeah.
It will take a little while. Yeah. But to answer your question, you'll see potentially it might drop a little bit as the stuff settles, so it's quite important that when you're putting the stuff in, you're consolidating it as you go in small layers. You don't want to whack it all in and try and tamp it down. It will start dropping quite considerably thereafter, so you want to do small layers, consolidate it, and then you won't have too much sinkage. Subsequently, you know, in the summer months you'll see a distinct drying out of the lines compared to the other part of the green, because it is obviously a lot freer draining material than the non-drain parts. But you know, a green rebuild is probably upwards of 25 grand plus. This is probably £1,500 in-house, so you live by what you can afford at the moment, so this is better than nothing anyway. This will help.
So there you go, there's a little insight into my 3 days out on the greens with the boys, helping putting in their new drainage system here on the 6th hole. I find it really fascinating chatting with Jason about how golf clubs have evolved and changed. If you think back in the day when we didn't have irrigation systems on a lot of the greens out on golf courses, certainly in the UK, they kind of designed the greens to retain water so they could have good quality greens throughout the summer months. And then back in those days, golf was only played in the summer months. It wasn't really a winter game. Whereas now, if you look at where we're at right this position now, is we're a 365 day a year game, and people expect good quality all year round. So Jason and lots of people out, head greenkeepers out on golf courses around the UK, are going through similar sort of ideas of this. You cannot put golfers on temporary greens for 5 weeks of the year. The quality, the service, it just all drops down. So putting in these types of systems on a budget is what Jason has to do.
So that was really quite insightful and really cool. I enjoyed that.
Have you seen that before? Did you know that's kind of how it worked?
I had an idea. Well, I know how you would make it basically a drainage system, but the actual detail and the levels in which you and Jason went into and explained to us was really good. Yes. It's a lot of work that goes into doing something like that. It's a big project, but ultimately it makes such a difference long term, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I couldn't do the first 2 days of filming because it was so wet and windy that it just would have come across really poorly. So the third day, we actually did 4 days in the end, but the third day on Thursday I did the actual filming side of it, and I did some B-roll and things like that you kind of see on the days when it was a bit wet through the phone. But it was I just enjoy getting out there. As you know, I like to go out there whenever I can. No, it was good. I know hopefully everybody gets something from it, and probably gets to see something that they don't really see behind the scenes when it comes to golf club, running golf clubs and managing golf clubs.
We all just play as members. You'll play golf and go out there and want the course to be in as good a condition as possible. Yeah. But you don't see the extra work that goes into what's needed to make that golf course as good as what it is in the winter months. Yeah. You know, like you said, try and make it a all year round game rather than a 6 month game, or even less than that, as it was in the 90s when I first worked here.
Yeah, absolutely right. So this week on the show,
Big week.
We've got another big week ahead. Yes, we've had obviously a very big week last week, but this week we are going to be at Bowood. We've got a couple of things coming up. So I've got a review coming out tomorrow, and then we've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to be at Bowood with Mike Brown, which really looking forward to sharing that with you. I'm just finishing off the editing for that, so that it's come across really well, and hopefully you'll get a bit of an insight into Mike Brown.
Bloke, wasn't he?
Fantastic guy.
Really interesting and inspirational story.
Inspiring,
good to play with. Hopefully we'll do some future stuff with him.
Yeah, which he's agreed to do, so we'll do a little bit more with him.
So that's this week, isn't it?
So that's this week.
Last week was good on the channel. If you haven't watched that, watch last week with Peter Finch. We had a good time.
We did have a good time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
We
it was a lot of
enjoyed
fun,
that one,
and just getting to know someone like Pete is obviously very good
Picked
for
his
long
brains,
term.
didn't we, as
Yeah,
well?
we did
Yeah.
pick his brains, and there'll hopefully be some more stuff with Pete in the near future. So yeah, really
all,
excited.
All positive stuff.
So that pretty much wraps up our Sunday show, Bernie.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
No, I've got a few fairway wood head covers left and hybrid covers with the
course,
Sunday
yeah.
show, and also a couple of towels. But that's it really. All the driver head covers gone.
Yeah.
Club scrubbers are available as well. So if you do want anything, then just hit me up on the usual spot. But yeah,
that'll be it.
That'll be it.
That's it. Very good. Right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We'll look forward to catching up with you again next Sunday. See you next Sunday.